Hey gang, Dave Spaulding, Handgun Combatives. Thanks for checking back in with us. Our initial run of videos, we had a little problem with the sound, the echo in that metallic structure we were trying to use. We've relocated, and I think what we've got is our sound problem solved. What I want to talk to you about in this particular segment is one of the products that we carry in the Handgun Combative store. What I'm talking about is the bullet forward slide lock lever. It's made by Ghost and sold through the store. And the reason I want to bring it up is because I'm starting to think maybe it's being misunderstood. The slide lock lever was developed by me to keep my shooting hand thumb off of the slide lock lever. I think all of you have probably had a circumstance where you're using a European style pistol and you either locked the slide open when you didn't want to, or you wanted it to lock open on the last round and it didn't because your thumb was sitting on it. Keep in mind that early pistols did not have that particular problem. Guns like the 1911, the slide lock lever was substantial and it was in the center of the frame. An example of that would be this third generation Smith & Wesson. As you can see, the slide lock is way forward and my thumb is nowhere near it. But what that allowed me to do was to insert the magazine, roll up, hit the slide lock lever, and then go on shooting. That is something that I made a familiar task over many years and many repetitions of shooting. So when I started shooting the European guns like the SIGs and the Glocks, I had a heck of a time because my thumb was always laying on top of that slide lock lever. I solved it with the SIGs by doing a kind of an ingenious thing right here. This gun was actually built for me by Robbie Barkman at the Robar Companies. And what I asked Robbie to do is I asked him to heat up the metal on that lever and bend it out, and then shave some of the material off of it so that my thumb laid underneath it. But if I did want to use my thumb to drop it, I could literally reach up like that and never interfere it. The problem is I couldn't do that on the Glock because the Glock lever was so small, and because of its location, I just couldn't figure a way to raise it up and get it out of the way of my thumb. So I asked Carl Sokol, Chestnut Mountain Sports, he's the gunsmith at that particular establishment. I asked him if he could come up with a way to take the lever forward. Now, he came up with a pretty ingenious slide lock lever that actually had a nice tab that was forward of the thumb. It didn't rest on it. It was absolutely perfect. He did tell me, however, at the time he gave it to me, is don't ask for another one because it was apparently a pain in the ass to make. No problem. I had the opportunity to show it to Arthur Viani from Ghost. He liked the concept, and he then actually created what we now know as the bullet forward slide lock lever, as is sold on the Handgun Combative store. And what that allowed me to do is now have a slide lock lever on my Glock pistol that my thumb didn't lay on. Okay? If I wanted to insert the magazine, I could rock my thumb up, I could drop it like I did my 1911, but I didn't inadvertently sit my thumb on it or push it up when the gun was cycling. This ended up being a huge advantage for me. It just really satisfied me. And it has worked out quite well. Now, what brought me to do this particular video is I had an individual contact me and say, hey Dave, I really like the way your slide lock lever allows me to keep my shooting hand thumb off of it, but it's too far forward for me to use to drop the slide. If the lever is designed to keep your shooting hand thumb off of it, do you think that maybe there's going to be some difficulty trying to use your thumb to drop the lever or use the lever to drop the slide? Of course there will. So I was actually kind of befuddled by the question. If you want to use the slide release to drop the slide, then you're going to have one that basically sits underneath your shooting hand thumb, or that your shooting hand thumb can access it without shifting your hand around. Something like the Vickers slide lock lever would be a good example of that. But if you're having trouble keeping your thumb off of it, that is what the bullet forward was intended to do. Keep the shooting hand thumb off of it and be able to manipulate it with the offhand, or maybe not manipulate it at all. Just manually manipulate the slide, which is perfectly acceptable. I hate to see people cut the slide lock lever off, because if you ever need to manually lock the slide open, you don't have a mechanism for that. So if you're going to manually manipulate it and you want to keep your thumb off of it, the bullet forward can be a good one for that as well. But something that was brought to my attention by my left-hand students that never occurred to me because I'm not left-handed was the ability to use the bullet slide lock lever with your right hand, which would be the support hand for those shooters. What these shooters do is they insert the magazine, and as they heel seat it, they reach up and literally scratch the slide lock lever and release the slide. And I've had a number of students tell me how much they appreciate that. The reason you can do that is because it's big enough, it's got enough pad that you can actually reach it. So, something to consider. But when you buy any particular product, and the bullet slide lock lever would be certainly one of those products, understand why you're buying it. The Handgun Combative store is not just there to sell a whole bunch of products, it's there to sell products that we think fill a need based on our training philosophy. So I hope this helps you out when you're kind of thinking about whether or not you want to buy one of these. That's what the bullet slide lock lever is for. Dave Spaulding, Handgun Combatives, thanks for checking in.